So I've been reporting stories for many years, and this particular subject that I want to talk about with Chris Brown is something that comes up either once a year or every other year. Some black male entertainer says something about black women and is a response to it. Now, I'm going to kind of talk about just some of the history of what I've covered, and then I'm going to really engage Chris Brown here off of what he said, because it's a lot of things with that just kind of bothers me personally. Now, the last one I could think of off the top of my head would be Gilbert Arenas, when he was talking about Lupita Nyong'o, and I talked about that at that time period. I didn't agree with his comments about her at all. I mean, Gilbert Arenas, I never understand when you are a dark brother like myself, and then you have this attitude and hatred toward a woman that looks no different than you in skin tone. I mean, if she's not your preference, then keep that to yourself. You don't have to be disparaging anyone just because that may not be your particular preference. But Chris Brown, he came out with a new album called Indigo. And from what I found out, this album is doing very well for him. He's had over 60 million streams on this particular album. He was ranked #1 on Rolling Stone as of recent, the top 200 albums. So this album is doing very good for him. Now, he has a lyric on the song called Need a Stack. And this one lyric got him in hot water with a lot of black women that I guess that are fans with him. So the lyric was that he only wanna F the black bees with nice hair. That lyric got him into trouble. Now, even though this particular album has 32 tracks on it, is that one line that got a lot of people upset who are women that are his fans. Now, understand, a big part of his fan base will be black women. I understand that. And Chris, I'm going to talk about Chris and talk directly to Chris, because if you want to look at it on the guise of just what you should not be doing, what you should not be saying, understanding the history of different things and why black women may feel a certain way about their hair versus other groups of women. Now, Chris Brown was getting some pushback with this, and he started to lash out. I understand that as well. I've been attacked on social media before, and you want to lash out, but you have to have the restraint not to. You got to have a way to deal with that. I'm going to read what Chris said. I'm going to just kind of clean it up a little bit, just in case, like I said, we have kids watching. So it stated, "Weird, angry people, sincerely from the bottom of my balls, I don't give a F about any negative booty face women." Okay, that's what he said. "I'm starting to give away free lace fronts for you weird females with the skid row edges and low self-esteem. Aside from that, hop off these nuts." And then there's another quote from Chris Brown from Instagram. "Half of y'all look like Budweiser frogs." He continues, "So please don't come with the BS. I will fire that A up and roast the hell out of you over sensitive duckhead weirdos." Now, that response, Chris Brown, was wrong. Completely wrong, Chris. I like when I first read this, I say, "Oh no, Chris, no, don't do that, Chris. Don't do it, brother." But you stepped in the mud now. Now you done did it, Chris. Now look, I'm gonna tell you from personal experience. You're gonna have fans that are gonna rock with you no matter what. And then you're gonna have some fans that hate you no matter what. And yes, I say fans because they're actual fans of yours that hate your guts. They will listen to every record that you come out with, every Instagram post, every whatever, just so they can hate on you. So yes, you got fans that can't stand you. But then you have some fans that probably could rock with you, but then they'll read this or they'll see your reaction, then they don't want to be your fan anymore and don't want to listen to your music, etc. Now, Chris, the reason why the women are bothered by this particular term, I have to take it, back, because the hair issue didn't start with our culture. It started with racism. It started with slavery. Okay. And during that time period, black people, especially black women's hair, was always ridiculed, called ugly. Okay. And then the only time that hair would be called something good or manageable was when the slave master had raped a black woman, produced a child, which at that time period they would call them mulatto, but now we would call them biracial, a biracial black person, whatever words that we're using today. You know, they always switching things up with identity, but they will call their hair a lot better and a lot manageable, etc. But someone who's dark like me, who probably could have maybe what they would say 4C hair, that would be considered, a lot of people say, bad hair. But who determines what's good hair and what's bad hair? Where does that come from, right? It's coming from a group of people who have no right to label anybody's hair good or bad. I mean, do they look at their hair? I mean, at least black women cannot get lice like that. And that's just one thing that black women, no matter what hair texture they have, they don't get. Black people, you know, men as well, we don't get lice. So the thing is, they had laws as well, Chris, like the Tinyon laws, which were like in Louisiana, where black women had to cover their head. That was the law, that black women could not show their hair. Okay. Then you fast forward today, there's still discrimination with hair, even with black men. If black men have locks, you know, they're discriminated against, just like the women could be discriminated against. Court even ruled that employers can discriminate against black people with their hair. So that's for the highest court in the land, that 2019 black people can still be discriminated against, but a lot of times black women deal with it more. If a black woman want to be natural, she go into corporate America, and you have them folks looking at her funny, or telling her that she can't wear a hair like that, which is her natural hair to grow out of her head. Maybe she don't want to put, you know, the perms and relaxers or anything chemical in her hair. Or she may not want to put chemicals, but she may have to go get a hair extensions because of some of the jobs. I'm just telling you the reality of what happens with hair in the United States of America and why it is very, very sensitive. Now, that's that aspect. Now, it's more hurtful when a black man tells a black woman something bad about her hair versus, let's say, some racists do it or someone outside the black community. Just as much as we as black men get more hurt when black women, you know, tell us something bad about ourselves or destroy us. We as black people have to stop publicly tearing each other down. Okay. We have to stop doing that, because one thing, Chris, you need to realize, and you dealt with women, I've dealt with women as well. I understand that women in general are sensitive on a lot of topics, but sisters are definitely more sensitive in some areas due to racism and white supremacy that we deal here in America. So if you try to disparage a black woman on her hair, that's the trigger point. I can tell you that. Most women don't want you disparaging their looks, no matter how they look. Most women don't want you disparaging their weight. Most women don't want you disparaging their ability. They say if they can't have kids for some reason. I mean, there's a lot of things that you should not be saying. But on a business aspect, if you understand that black women are a big part of your base, then the last people you want to piss off would be black women. Some things you have to read and say, is that worth saying? Is that worth causing the trouble? Okay. Just as much as I don't agree with men putting out preferences in the public space, because you're affecting a lot of people when you're public. So if you like a particular look in a woman, every man, I don't care what you say, every man has a particular type of woman he likes, body wise, personality wise, etc. He got that. Now, I'm a firm believer of not to put your stuff out there like that, because for what? Why are you going to put it out there publicly? I mean, you trying to make a call that you want somebody to come in. And then when you have people who like you like that, Chris, and you say things like that, then obviously maybe someone has a hang up with their hair and you just offended them. Or I don't, you know, from my experience, it's usually what it is. And their issues with hair could come from, like I say, racism. It can come from the household. Sometimes people in the household ridicule, you know, each other. As black people, we ridicule each other too much. But one thing I noticed about other races of entertainers, they don't disparage the women in their community like that. You don't hear them saying that they want, you know, the women with good hair in their community. My issue too is, you know, when I was growing up, calling a black woman or anyone, well, I grew up in a black community, calling a black woman or a black girl the B word was fighting words. she will fight you immediately, or her brothers, or somebody's going to fight with you because you don't call a woman a B word. Now today is that men could call women B words now, and it's no big deal. That's a big issue for me as well. Just kind of looking at how you were responding, to this. Now, there was another aspect where Chris was saying that the women don't want a guy with messed up teeth. So that's no different than the situation with the hair. Well, no, Chris, because messed up teeth don't have a legacy of over 400 plus years that was used to racially terrorize a person, Chris. No, Chris, you can't go there. That's a bad analogy, brother. My thing is, Chris, you just need to maybe research a little bit, understand why the women are upset. And they have a right to be a little bit, because, just in my opinion, because you are someone who's famous, you are putting it out to millions upon millions of people that you only want to fool with black women with good hair. But I know it's your opinion. I don't know what you define as good hair. I don't know. I mean, that's part of it too. I don't know. But I guess in their mind, it's a certain type of hair texture they deem as good, and in a certain hair texture they deem as bad. And that's, interpretation as well. My thing is, Chris, I wouldn't use those kind of lyrics, brother. I just wouldn't do it. I mean, you could talk about women and being with them in songs. That's fine. Do your thing. Now, of course, you're going to have a certain amount of guys that's going to say, no, he should be say what he wants. He should be this. But usually them kind of guys, at the end of the day, can't get a woman no way. They can't get one to save their life. And they'll be online all day talking crap about why women this and women won't be with them and women. And, that's, to me, that's just kind of silly to be talking about women all day like that. But brothers, it's just in these positions, y'all got to just consider your words a little bit. Just consider your words. Don't, if you're not attracted to certain things, just keep that to yourself. I mean, just deal with that in the dating world. Don't disparage hair. Don't disparage skin tone. Don't disparage, weight. Just don't do that, because black male entertainers are the only ones I've seen do this. And I trust me, I look for everybody to do it. So we need to take an inventory of that. We need to stop destroying each other's image publicly, because other races of people listen to your music, Chris, and you're not talking crap about them. You're not saying other groups of people have bad hair, and you're not calling them, B words or whatever. You're not doing that. You specifically said in your quote that you only want to F the black bees with the nice hair. That's not a good look. And to me, that don't sound like a lot of respect. You have a daughter, okay? And I see you love your daughter. I've seen pictures. I mean, hey, I got a daughter. I got more than one daughter. I love them all. And I wouldn't want you referring to my daughters that way. No, I would have a big problem with you doing that. So, just as brothers, we just need to kind of chill out, how we respond. Some things I just won't say to women, because it's just not something I should do. You know what I'm saying? I still want to have some level of respect. But Chris, bro, you got to kind of make that one right, man. You just kind of, your response, I think, was the worst part, not so much the lyric for me, because you could respond to that, hey, that was just artistic expression. I meant this, I meant that. There's a lot of things you could explain with that lyric in itself, but your response and you calling people names and cussing them out and talking about the lace fronts, like, you have no idea. You just made it worse. But hopefully I gave you a little education on that, Chris. Hopefully, bruh, and you don't make that mistake in the future. But let me know what you think, though, about Chris Brown and his comments. And do you think the women are real merited to have this anger? Because there's a lot of people saying he should be, canceled. That, we have people who like to do that. But I don't think Chris Brown's going to be canceled until Chris Brown's career is done, personally. I mean, people just like buying Chris Brown's music or streaming his music. I just see it what it is. He's a talented brother. I mean, I can't take that away from him. But we as brothers, once again, I'm going to say this. We need to consider the feelings of the women and look at that other races of men don't do this, that are famous, or even men that have a platform that disparage, or kind of just throwing salt on open wounds that we need healing from in our community. Just consider that, because music is a beautiful thing, Chris. It's a beautiful thing. And, hey, you could sing. I mean, you could sing a woman out her panties. Let's call it what it is. That is how it is with singers versus rappers. So why would you want to piss off your group that's going to show up at your concerts, because concert money, that's where it's at.